What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. Had to set it up a little bit later tonight, but we're all set. Let's get going. Let's talk about all the developments we've seen over these last few days. And there's a lot of you in the chat, so let's get into your questions right now. '80s kid from the '90s is saying, I'm so glad I didn't save up and waste $200. I mean, if you save $200 and don't spend it, then did you waste it? I don't think so. Blake says, if it doesn't fund, will she still come out or be delayed for a year or more? No, she'll come out whenever she's supposed to. It's just a matter of when it happens. All they had to do was include Wasp and Yellow Jacket, but no. '80s kid, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like maybe Mr. Cheeseburger is imparting some of his wisdom onto me, because I kind of feel like maybe that wouldn't be enough for some Marvel Legend fans, where it'd be like, well, if you included a 12-inch Goliath, then it would have bought it. But yeah, because you didn't include XYZ and these characters, that's still not enough. Now, we want to talk about this thing. Let's break it down and talk all about it. Y'all are hyped up. Let's get into it. But first, before I go any further, let me thank all of you guys for all your support of the channel. I do appreciate it. It means so much to me. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. All right, so let's talk about the big news, the big event for, of course, as we're closing in with 4 days left. And you all know that I always do this. Take a look and see where that HasLab was from the time I loaded this window up to figure out where the heck it is now. So when last I looked, it was at 6,474. And this window may have reloaded. So if there's no big jump, that's the reason why. Yeah, so that's where he is currently, which there's been a lot of movement, because earlier it was very slow and Hank was not rolling too far, too fast, and it was dire. But I think with this reveal today, he's made some pretty decent progress. Let me pull up my 7 days to go image, and he was at 5,988 backers. So we've seen some progress. I think this Wasp reveal has helped a pretty decent amount. But let's see what else you guys are talking about with this. Ryan Daly says that Wasp looks perfect, but I ask again, why the heck wasn't it available this year? She should have come out with a Target exclusive Ant-Man. I agree with you. That would have made more sense, especially when we're celebrating the anniversary of the Avengers, their 60th anniversary, their formation. The Wasp is actually the character that says, we're the Avengers, or no, Hank goes, it's great. Avengers it is. And then, yeah, the Avengers. So I don't quite understand it. Let's take a look at this figure, because I don't want to go too much longer, because y'all are hyped up and excited about. It's a really nice looking figure, one that I'm excited about as well. And this is exactly what you would want out of a classic Wasp figure. She's got the new and improved articulation, so she's got the bicep joints. That's awesome. Double jointed elbows, yes please. Looks like she may have one of those floating torsos, so it doesn't break up the sculpt. That's fine. I really like this head sculpt. I think that looks good, provided she doesn't have the McFarlane eyes looking up. Paint job, hopefully they'll be looking straight ahead at us and not looking up. And double jointed knees, of course. I think from this render, yeah, she's got the thigh cut as well. No boot swivel, that's fine. And the ankle tilt, as we all expect from our Marvel Legends. But I really like this. I was going to go any further in terms of what I would want to see. I really am surprised we didn't get a gold Iron Man. I really love that Model 1, the silver one. I think that figure is really good. But in the context of the Avengers 60th anniversary, why not go with the gold outfit, the gold armor that he was wearing when he was with the team in the very first issue? Granted, he jumps on to the 20th anniversary Marvel Legends look by issue 3, so it's not a big deal. But when you want to recreate this cover, when you want to do the whole, this is the formation, the foundation of the Avengers, you're still not going to be able to do that just yet. We've got Thor. We're going to have Wasp eventually. Maybe they'll show us an Iron Man Model 2 at some point between now and next year. But it seems like the anniversary window will be closed. And that was kind of weird. We still need Hulk with the shorts. So lots of odd choices in terms of the character choices. Because we did get an Iron Man, we got the Model One, we did get a Hulk, we got Gray Hulk. So it's really weird because we got these original takes of the characters that are the founding members of the Avengers, not quite in their classic, put them in a box set Avengers look. So we'll see what's going on with that. Snake Eyes goes, hey Jeff, I wonder if this Classic Wasp will help this giant man, or is it too late? I feel like there's always a surge every time we have these HasLabs. People decide at the last minute, I'm going to back it. And I still think Hasbro is not doing the absolute best job in terms of communicating that when you put down for this HasLab, that money's not going out of your account right away. It's coming out on the next day from when the HasLab closes. So this one wraps up October 23rd. So you'll get charged on October 24th. They have an FAQ right here, but it just, whatever reason, it's confusing to some people, and they're like, is it going to take it out right now? I don't have this money, but it does come eventually. And they're going to stop taking pre-orders or backings at 11:59. I almost kind of feel like popping in for this last hour and seeing how it goes. We're really close to getting that, cracking the 10,000 backer mark. I would love for that to, we get the last few backers needed, we pop some champagne or some water and crank it out and be like, yes, we made it, for everyone who's excited and looking forward to this getting funded and back. I do kind of feel like I'm really wondering what Hasbro's lessons are going to be if this doesn't fund. I think if it funds, they can pat themselves on the back, go, great job, team. Now we don't have consecutive Marvel Legends failures on the HasLab front. But I do wonder what's going to be where they're going to start doing the Spider-Man image. It's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. And will they take the right lessons if that's the case? Because throughout this process, through the whole, hey, we've got this new exciting crowdfund project and we're really happy to bring it to you all. And people were like, hey, what's up with the figures as tiers? We want to see Wasp in her original outfit. We want to see a yellow jacket. And Hasbro said, no, we got you guys. We're giving you the very popular, very much in demand zombie giant man head. And then if we get those 14,000 baggers, which is such a pipe dream at this point, we're going to give you guys a Skrull head. So, they've been going on and on this whole time about, we didn't want to put figures behind a paywall. And if we added more figures in, that was going to add to the cost of the HasLab. But I kind of feel like I'm not going out on a ledge saying I feel like most of us would have easily preferred to swap out these Skrull, the zombie giant man head sculpts for a figure. Because as magnanimous as the Hasbro Marvel Legends team is, I'm sure these two heads aren't being tossed in just because we're awesome. I assume part of that $200 includes something for those heads. And since they're pretty big and pretty massive, I kind of feel like they're using the same amount of plastic as this Wasp figure, in which case I think all of us would have much rather have just gotten her as opposed to a zombie head and a Skrull head that we didn't really ask for. It wasn't part of the wish list of the tiers. Nobody was saying, oh, it'd be even more amazing if they included these as tiers instead of figures. I feel like that's where they kind of messed up, especially since we know now that every part of the tier, every factor into these HasLabs is costing, and it's part of that price. So regardless, if we don't get those 14,000 backers by the end of this crowdfund, we're paid for those two heads that we're not going to see. Again, I think we all would have preferred to see some figures as opposed to heads that, unless we're buying three, aren't really necessary and we're not going to display. And that's not going to be a case, because it's not going to be a problem, because no one's getting those 14,000 backers needed to get the two alternate head sculpts. Blake goes, I'm wondering if we're going to see a yellow jacket rendered tomorrow. I think that would be a really smart move too. I'm trying to think of some other characters that would make sense, that would kind of push you along into going, well, if you got all this under your sleeve, why not make it happen? And I'm thinking maybe a giant man in the 6-inch scale, right alongside all the other Avengers with a removable head sculpt where we can see that it's clearly blonde Hank Pym, maybe a cloth lab coat. I think that would be a really nice incentive. Like, oh, cool, bring it on. So I think those are two options that would work really well. I'm glad to see that Hasbro was like, okay, excuse me, time's getting rough. Let's push this button. Let's see how Wasp moves things along. And I think she has done a little bit of movement. She's pushed the she's pushed the ball sufficiently. So it's like, okay, I can see this Wasp reveal. It's not even part of the HasLab. It's getting some people. And I was seeing this in the Twitter and the Instagram comments. Oh man, you should have put her as part of the HasLab. And of course, there's radio silence, social media silence from the Marvel Legends crew on that. But they are seeing some results with Wasp even just being revealed. And I think that was what we were talking about last week. Just show us a render or a name only announcement. Hey, we're getting a Goliath, we're getting a Wasp, we're getting this version of Wasp, we're getting Jarvis, we're getting all these different characters that can tie in some small way or form with this giant man HasLab. And I feel like with those figures coming out around that same time frame, okay, it's like, all right, that's not ideal, but it's cool because we're going to have them around the same point. Just like we saw with the G.I. Joe HasLab with the Dragonfly. Don't worry. I mean, they told us during the middle of this HasLab, Doc and Airborne aren't part of this HasLab, but they're coming. And we've already seen the amazing render of Airborne. Still waiting to see something about Doc, maybe in a few more days. That's me knocking on wood. But it's exciting times for Joe fans. And speaking of which, we're going to get Alpine, and I'm hoping to see him next Friday too. Anyway, Afton Child is in the building. Man, I should have showed this Classic Wasp sooner. You had a power Afton? That's pretty cool. Ryan says, my classified tripwire ship today. I got a few clearance Black Series figures that I'm using to try some custom ideas. Oh, and Darth Malgus from GameStop. That dude is huge. And then Ryan says, Afterchild, it boggles the mind that they didn't have Wasp available during the Avengers anniversary and when an Ant-Man and Wasp movie came out. I feel like that would have been a no-brainer 2-pack, but I wonder if they were holding it out to try to drum up some excitement and some enthusiasm for the HasLab with that carrot, like, well, we're going to have a Wasp for you. I thought it was really interesting. I was watching some of the videos, some of the guys who had gone up to New York Comic Con when they were talking to the Marvel Legends team, and they were still kind of holding some secrets back, like, well, we know they're characters you want associated with Giant Man, and maybe they'll be coming, maybe not. We're not going to announce it. And I just thought it was weird because you guys are at the home stretch, and this thing isn't funded. It'd be totally different if it was like at 9,000 backers, and it's like, hey, all right, we got a weekend, we got a Friday surge coming, but to still have such a huge gap just between getting it funded and, hey, let's start going into the tier section because now we're good and everything else is just a sweet, sweet bonus for us. So we'll see what happens. But I really think this is the point where the marketing team should have been all out there showing more things than just Giant Man in New York. That was cool. And I like what Dwight's been doing on his Instagram, showing Giant Man beating up some of the smaller figures, some of the larger figures, and still towering over them. I think that's really a good move, but it had a whole month and we had this buildup kind of right before it where we're seeing these cool comic book panels, but we haven't seen anything since then on that front. I mean, it's kind of wild that Dwight and Ryan and Dan are having to just show some cell phone pictures and going like, hey, here you go. Here's some new shots of Giant Man when they've got a production team, a photography team that's really cranking out some amazing pictures. We haven't seen anything else to help drive and incentivize people to back this HasLab. And James Green got the notification that the Crimson team is on the way. Yep, still waiting on my chuckles to come through. But anyway, soon enough. Stug, what's up? Blake, last night I was saying in a different live that we need a render or a crayon drawing, something. Jay Woods is a police sketch, even. Yeah, wanted. Snake Eyes goes, I wonder how Hasbro is going to blame and suffer us for this, saying, oh, you guys didn't want a Giant Man or Ant-Man wave. Okay, we're not going to do it. We're not going to make big figures anymore. Snake Eyes, that's exactly what I'm kind of worried about, because as we saw from this last HasLab, I don't feel like they really got the message. They didn't understand what we wanted and what we didn't want. And I felt like they were bad parents in that case. Like, okay, you're not going to have your broccoli. Well, you're not going to get anything like this again. We're going to take figures out because you said you didn't want figures as part of these tiers. And I don't feel like that's been the case. I feel like the figures is tiers, figures as tiers. I don't know, it sounded weird, but those were helping to drive these things. I feel like in every crowdfund project, extra figures, and I say extra knowing they're incorporated into the price, but just that fun, gotta catch them all mentality of we gotta back it so we can get this cool figure and this cool figure. And to not have that, to have these bogus, oh, here's some extra heads. I mean, they're worthless if you don't have that Scroll Queen and the Scroll Soldier. And maybe that was the 2-pack they were hoping would drive and push the needle for this HasLab. We've got a Spider Woman and you got a Scroll Soldier here coming out in these 2-packs celebrating Beyond Earth's Mightiest. And I kind of feel like maybe that was a mistake. Like, nobody really cared if they had done 2-packs of Scrolls. I think there would have been a lot more excitement. Like, oh, great, I missed out on these HasLabs or Hasbro Pulse Scrolls. Now I can army build to my heart is content. Just getting us those the Secret Invasion characters. We're really getting it much done, especially when there's so many characters from that Secret Invasion era of the team of Avengers that haven't been made, or at least done in updated modern Marvel Legends form. Pedro Prime, greetings and salutations. Hello to you too, my friend. 80 Skip from the 90s says Target has trained people into waiting until clearance. I mean, I'm still saying if Target has a sale, they're really good for that. If you get the red circle, you can pretty much cost out your figures to what their clearance is if you just, spend a little time waiting for a sale and then using that red circle purchases, get some dishwashing detergent, get some soap, get some deodorant, whatever. And then it's like, oh, look, I've got $15 in my account, and spread that over a few figures when you catch them on one of their sales and you're good. And, some of my friends are resorting to Target eBay, which apparently is having some really great deals too. So check that out if you're looking for some sales. They're not quite clearance, but you can get brand new figures, just new figures. And you can have them super early without having to wait and play the clearance game. Jay Lakers. All right. My first live. Woo! Been reading your reviews for years. Thank you so much. It's always great and cool to see people who've been checking out the reviews. I am dealing with the maddening frustration of my website going rogue, not like the X-Men member, Sugar. But I do have a figure that I just posted today, Tarantula, and he is so cool and so much fun. I do still wish they had included an alternate head sculpt so we could have him with a black mask or maybe a cell shaded one, a little bit of blue and mostly black in there. This guy's really fun to pose though. He's got a little points on his boots. So that was fun posing him around with Spider-Man. So thank you for checking out the reviews. I've got a bunch more in the tank. I just need my site to cooperate, but soon enough. 52 Lions, BK, what's good, everybody? Chilling, my friend. Anthony Rogers in the building. I'm glad to see the Wasp is finally out there now. Don't know if it'll help much with the numbers, but hey, it's a positive move for those that funded the HasLab. Yes, I am actually really hoping that this is enough to macho man this crowd fund and get people excited, because we could conceivably have the full Avengers, and that would be so much fun. We could have the Avengers issue 2 lineup, and maybe this is the time to show off a Space Phantom. You're like, hey, look, you can really do the whole thing and have Giant Man. I feel like that was a cool cover idea that they could have done too. I don't know. I just feel like they've missed out on some marketing opportunities for this. They just sent some influencers, some photos. that they could kind of mess around with a giant man. I feel like they would have done some manipulation and done some cool stuff and helped sell this thing. And I feel like they kind of missed the mark on that. But with the Wasp revealed today, we still got a few more days. We got Friday, and I'm hoping they show something else. That way people can go, oh man, I've got to get it now. I'm really thinking Giant Man in the regular small scale, like tarantula size, would really help move this thing along, because people will then go, I've got the shorter version, I've got a Wasp to go alongside them. I can go ahead and get this larger scale version too. So hopefully people have gotten their paychecks all straight, have got their money ready for Tuesday, and can go, yep, I'm backing this thing. And we can get this thing at least to 10,000, maybe just 10,000, 10 backers. So I'll be straight and happy. I know there's some speculation online and people are going, Hasbro is going to buy all the rest of these remaining ones just so they save face. I don't think they're going to do that, but they need to do something one way or the other. Maybe international backers haven't been factored in, but fingers all the way crossed that this thing happens. Emmanuel Silvera, I'm with you. People wanted this to fail. It was surrounded by so much negativity from launch. It's baffling. I am with you so much, like 700%. It was really weird. It was like, I don't need them this big. It was funny because somebody in the comments, and I wish I remembered to write their name down, was like, it's first world problems. We're complaining about a figure called Giant Man being too tall. And it's like, I cannot tell you one issue of the Avengers, of any Marvel Comics thing, where Hank Pym is squaring off against Galactus as Giant Man. So it's like, I don't care. I mean, I'm not going to put my Avengers shelf right where Galactus is. They're going to be so far away from each other, it's not going to matter. And I know he fought the Sentinels during the Onslaught era, but he was in a totally different costume. So just keep him apart from him. I don't know. Just Giant Man is the one character that can stand to be as tall as they made him. And would I wanted him a little shorter? Maybe, but I'm not complaining, especially seeing all that great detail they put on this figure. And I don't really like that crazy head sculpt and faceplate, but at least we have different options. So we can mess around and go with the one we really want. So I'm with you. I really wish people were more excited. And, Dan was tweeting, hey, we got the Wasp coming. And like half his comments were people, you should have done this. You should have done that. I'm like, dude, Dan's just trying to spread a little love, get people hyped up and excited about this thing. And y'all are coming big time with the Joker, Harley Quinn size mallet going, bam, we don't want it. And I'm going to tell you all the reasons why I don't want it. I don't know. I watched Freddy versus Jason Afterchild. The guys were tied up, couldn't do the watch along, so I just popped in Freddy versus Jason. That was a movie that I was really looking forward to ever since the tease and Jason Takes Manhattan. And then I was like, oh man, it's amazing. And it did not disappoint me. So I really enjoyed that one. I'm trying to figure out which Halloween movie I'm going to watch on Halloween. Stug says, I wonder if Giant Man does not fund, if Hasbro will stop doing Marvel Legends HasLab. We've seen that with the Star Wars Black Series. They did the Rancor, and I felt that was one that was very lackluster in terms of the tiers. And again, I feel like if that Rancor HasLab had the figures that people wanted, it would have sold through no problem. People didn't care about bones or backdrop or figures that were, a Salacious Crumb, I guess, but there were other characters who would have been more unique that they could have put in there. I mean, they kind of like last minute Hail Mary thing. We're going to move the Rancor Keeper from a tier. We're going to include him with the base offering. It was very desperate, but it wasn't enough at that point. That one, I felt like the fan sentiment went from being really excited and very hyped up to slowly turning against it week after week. I think if it had funded like the Ghost did, where it was a no problem, no sweat, no worries, it's funded. Now the only challenge is, will these tiers get funded? And we definitely saw that last minute surge with that, where everyone who had backed it, and then everybody was like, well, this is starting to get some momentum, I need to get it over. got it all the way through, and I think it was what 17,000 backers it needed to get Zeb, and it did with no problem. So I think really legit could have done a fourth tier and thrown Sabine and Chopper in there, and it would have covered that easily. I think what was it, 24,000 backers it ended with? It's crazy. It was one of those situations where it's like, yeah, that's the way you guys need to go with all of these things. And these projects will work if you just put what people want to see in there. And 6,477 as of right now for our guy Hank. And so he's making some progress. It was 21,768 backers for the $500 vintage collection Ghost. And now I'm really wondering if that's a problem, if they've had so many people backing all these earlier projects like the Dragonfly, like the Ghost, and then it was like, I don't have any more money, guys. I really wish I could. I'm down for Giant Man, but after spending 520, I guess with tax for the Ghost and almost 300 for the Dragonfly, you got me tapped out. And I'm wondering one thing that they would do is mix up the order in which they do the HasLab. So instead of putting the Marvel one in the back half of the year, they make it January, February, or April, May, somewhere around that time frame, and then put G.I. Joe at the end, because I feel like any G.I. Joe HasLab is going to fund because it's G.I. Joe. As Mr. Cheeseburger says, G.I. Joe is G.I. Joe. So we don't have to worry about that. But I kind of wonder if switching up the order would help. I also feel like they probably need to just do, instead of these crazy, like, hey, here's little teas, maybe you'll figure it out. Like in January, they go, here's our HasLab schedule. We're going to put out a Marvel Legends Fing Fang Foom. He's going to be available from May through June. And then we're going to do a Transformers HasLab from July through August. And then we're going to do a Star Wars one. That's going through October. Then we've got your G.I. Joe one, and that one's going to end right at the end of November. And I feel like they had done that, then we'd be excited. We would know, those of us who were trying to budget all these lines that we're sucking into, and like, I want something from all these lines. I think that would have helped us so much more, because I feel like having Marvel Legends at the end of these HasLabs, and that certainly doesn't discount people who've backed other things like the Super 7 Thundercast layer. Like, that was not cheap either. So when you factor that in, something that's coming in at the last quarter of the year, I think that makes it kind of tough for him, especially one where it wasn't an immediate must have, like the Dragonfly, like the His Tank, or the Ghost. So we'll see. I'm very curious what kind of lessons will be learned from this one. Shane Shooter's in the building. I hope Wasp comes with an alternate head. That would be really, really smart of them, because she looks great, and I really like that look for her. But you're not the first person that said I want to see her with a different head sculpt, and one that makes more sense for. There we go. I can track that down if I just take my time and do it very carefully. So we have a really good Wasp head sculpt that will work just fine for how she typically looks without that cone head. And we needed that because that's the signature Avengers look. But we have a couple of options for alternate heads for her. We've got this one that came way back when with the Build-A-Figure Ultron wave, and this is fine. I think they do a little face printing just to improve that head sculpt just a little bit, and that works. Then we got the retro one, which I think is a really great Wasp figure. And there we go. We got a little Ant-Man hanging there. Like, I think if they had just done stuff like this to sell, it would have been great. And I think this one works really well for head sculpt for Janet. And they can just repurpose that and put it in there. I'll be happy. If worse comes to worse, I'll just be swapping this onto that one every so often. I always feel like with Jan, she's a character you could always do different versions of. So yeah, I definitely want to see that. And Shane, I want a Jarvis too. I mean, a HasLab I felt was the real best option to get a Jarvis figure, because Spider-Man has so many civilian characters who make sense as figures, and we've gotten Gwen Stacy, we've gotten J. Jonah Jameson, we've got Mary Jane, but we still don't have an Aunt May outside of the cartoon version. She should have been made into a figure a long time ago. And Jarvis is a butler. He's not really exciting unless maybe we got a Jarvis and Aunt May 2-pack. I don't know how they're going to get those figures out to us, but this would have been the perfect opportunity. He's a dude in the tux doing his thing. Excuse me, give him a vacuum cleaner, give him a duster, feather duster, call it a day, and we're good. We got a Crimson Cow figure coming, and pretty sure they've got her set up where you can't hide the fact that she's a woman, but maybe they could have done a cloth overlay and kind of hide the fact, and then just put the Jarvis angry head on there. I feel like there was a great 2-in-1 option for that, but yeah, I don't know how we're gonna get Jarvis now because I really, really felt like he was a no-brainer for this HasLab. Dana Ruiz, what's up? I'm good, man. Everything is well with me. Hope you are as well. Nolan, what's going on? Jay Woods, you're wondering what's going to be a deluxe. Help me out on that one. I'm far behind in the chat. Always trying to go through everyone's comments and giving my takes on that as I go along. G Brew, what's up? The Wasp and Giant Man look great. Just not a big Hank and Janet fan. I mostly go for X-Men. I hope it gets funded for everyone who wants it. Thanks, man. It's one of those things where, it's not your cup of tea. It's all good. But I think the people who don't want it, they're like, let me tell you all the reasons why it sucks. It's kind of like, it's whatever. I mean, I didn't get the Sentinel, and that was because I couldn't army build that Sentinel. And as amazing as it looks and as cool as it looks in people's displays, I'm really amazed seeing people who have 3 of them. I think that's the coolest setup for the display. But I don't have the money or the space for 3 massive robots, especially when these smaller scale ones from Toy Biz, from Hasbro still hold up pretty well. And I still need to investigate these smaller ones that are $22.99 as part of the X-Men 97 wave. And I got to check those out. But I know they're now in stock at Amazon, so there's no worries on that anymore. Daniel, hopefully they go back to Marvel Girl with this body, because the Marvel Girl they gave us was horrible. She was abysmal, and she's so bad. I can't even get that figure to stand when I'm using really small pegs. It's just ridiculous and such a disappointment, because this is a pretty significant look for her as a character, not just from her adventures rocking the Neil Adams new costumes, but that's what she was wearing when she was fighting with the X-Men against the Imperial Guard on the blue area of the moon right before she goes back into Dark Phoenix mode and she sacrifices herself. That is a key look for one of the most important characters in Marvel history. And for that figure to turn out the way it did is so disappointing. But yeah, I'm with you for sure. We need a new one. Brick and Tire. Hey everyone, how we doing tonight? I'm doing great, man. Hopefully you are as well. Blake, we need a classic Loki from Avengers cover number 1. I'm using my MCU Loki to recreate that classic cover. Let me see what your shot turned out on that one. Because, yeah, we got to do that look. The Avengers. How much does 20th anniversary Hulk cost on the aftermarket? I would assume not cheap. But I know he's not as expensive as Captain America. I mean, it's not terrible, actually. Surprisingly, not that wild. Considering the size, get this. Looks like everything's intact. Under 50. There's one almost 50. Here's one, it's just a little over 50. So not too bad. Here's one, free shipping, $54.99. That's solid. So a lot better than what I thought. About 50, 60. Not too terrible. You're not going to pay too much for that figure. Sheever, that Marvel Girl was the absolute worst figure I bought in 2021. It did not stay in my collection for very long. We definitely need an update. Yeah, I always hate when you get an action figure and they can't even stand up. It's like, what is the point? Your entire purpose, if you can't pose or anything else, is just stand there and look cool on the shelf. She couldn't even do that without toppling over. Yeah, Andrew K, you're right. The retro Loki is decent. That's the one I have, and I'm trying to see if I have that set up with my Avengers whatsoever. I do really like that one. I know some people hate the chainmail look and how it's just painted with the scales and not sculpted. I don't hate it. I kind of like it. Maybe he's a little bit too bulky, but I have a lot of fun with this figure. I love the head sculpt. I think this is more of what I have in mind when I think of Loki. And he's a fun figure. Maybe that mold that they went with him isn't the best one, but I don't know. Love this head sculpt. He looks good. I like how they did the neck piece. Yeah, that could be better, but I think he looks cool and he matches up pretty well against his. We got the Asgardian crew here. We got Enchantress, we got Hela, got Malekith. So he stands cool next to them. And wow, this is even before I got the new Thor. So this is him with the old Toy Biz version. Looks pretty good against him. And so I guess with that, I do not for sure have him matched up against the new 80th anniversary one. But yeah, I think it's a fun figure. Definitely worth picking out if you have not grabbed him. Gonzo Cruz, yellow jacket and a 6-inch giant man should be the next figures, and they want people to fund it. Hopefully, that'll be what happens. Marvel at My Legends. That's pretty cool. I like that one. I back Giant Man, but I wouldn't be too upset if it didn't fund. I still have reservations that Giant Man is too big. I think 18 inches would have been enough. Yeah, not too bad. I don't think 18 would have been small. I think the Toy Biz one is 12 inches, and he's a really nice looking figure. 18 would have been a significant upgrade. I think this one's 22, 24. So maybe he's a little bit too big, but yeah, I love the fact that you can actually put him on his knee, so you don't have to create a new shelf space set up just for him, which I really do appreciate. James, do I think it'll be back? I think it's a slim chance. If you'd asked me before a few days ago, I'd been like, this isn't looking good. But the movement I've seen over the last few days has really been encouraging. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get it over this big hurdle it's got now, but I'm a lot more optimistic than I was. I feel like where are we right now with this? Like, how many exactly are we far away from getting this thing done? We're 6474, so we're at 3,526 backers. That sort of seems like a lot. I guess by the end of the day tomorrow, I'll have a better sense of if I need to be like, oh, this is not coming together, or excuse me, maybe this can happen. Maybe they can make it go through. Because if it picks up, say, let's say 1,200, 1,500 between that 24-hour period of Friday and Saturday, then I think more people will go, oh, it does have a chance to get back. Let me go ahead and support it and back it too. And I think with these crowd funds, it's kind of like this crowd mentality where it's like, yeah, if it's just hovering around 5,000 to 7,000, people aren't going to jump on it. But if they start seeing it get closer and closer, they'll go, oh, okay, I can get it. Again, the lack of tiers are really hurting this one, because in terms of tiers that people want, because you would have that, oh man, I can get this extra thing in addition to this. You're not going to have that sentiment where people were buying the Sentinel and then hoping to flip some of those other figures, Sentinel Prime, Bastion. I don't care about those, but I can sell Bastion and get $100 for them. That takes the price of my Sentinel down to $299. So we don't have that here, because they're not going to get to the point where they get that scroll head, that zombie head. And again, those are worthless if you don't have the Giant Man. So it's not even like a thing where it's a separate figure and people who are like, this Giant Man's too big, I don't want it, but I do want those tier figures that come along with it. And I think that's where they kind of missed the boat, but we'll see. Jay Wood says Iron Man was wrong variant. Hulk should have been green, and Speedo, Skrull Queen, and Destroyer have little connection with Avengers. Why couldn't we get the OG team with a scrawny Loki? Jay, that's a great point. And yeah, they could have done just a box set. It's not like, oh no, people wouldn't buy an Avengers box set with Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Wasp, and Ant-Man all in 6-inch form. I feel like that would have been their easiest sell, especially since we've seen these 2-packs. Not going to complain about getting that Destroyer though, because that was really cool. And having that variant of Thor, also cool. So I'm cool with those, but yeah, I don't quite understand the logic with the choices for Iron Man and Hulk, especially when you're doing your Avengers big anniversary. with versions of them that did not appear in the Avengers. Andrew K says, agreed. Giant Man just too big, but we'll back. Thank you. Mr. Cheeseburger, what's up, my friend? Paywall or no paywall? Marvel fans can have it both ways. I have to tell you, I was not complaining when we were getting all these figure reveals for Galactus. The only one I was like, again? Hopefully you old heads got my Rocky and Bullwinkle again. But I didn't care about the Silver Surfer, but the other ones I was like, this is great, cool, a Nova. And so far, they've not gone back and released a different version of Nova. That's the only way you can get her. And I don't really care about people not being able to get exclusives, but I think it's appreciated in this case because she was part of the reason that Galactus got funded, because there's the only way you can get her, so you got to back it. You got a cool morgue, and it's like, okay, cool, we got some good figures. And that was a case where they said, we're going to put Terex back out there and some more Heralds. And we got Terex in a 2-pack with a Fallen one. Then we got Fire Lord. Should be bigger, but we got him. And it's a cool looking figure, even though he's not as big as I would prefer him to be. But I really like the fact that they did that. And, hopefully this reveal of Wasp is just more along the lines on that front, although it is missing the tears that would go along with it. So for me, those two heads aren't free, and I would have rather that money gone to making Giant Man 1 cheaper, or just swap them out with some figures. Chase says, here's a thought. Do the faceplate and head sculpt cost as much as an action figure Marvel Legends already has the tools for? Exactly. I mean, I like the faceplates. I think they help add value to Giant Man himself, and they're not charging more for alternate heads. So I like that. But yeah, those extra heads don't do anything for me. G-Bro, I think that Giant Man will fund. Though if it does, it'll be closer than a lot of people may be comfortable with. And listen, if it just has 10,000, if it has 10,001 backers, I'll be comfortable with it. Now, the only thing I'm worried about, and I haven't, this has never really been the case for any of these crowdfund projects, if it's so close to the margin, like if 10,010 backers back it, and then when it's time for the money to come out, they go, oh shoot, I can't fund it. And then it goes to $9.98. In that case, this Hasbro go, it's all good. We've got these extras covered. We'll sell it to Big Bad Toy Store and we'll be straight. That's another thing I haven't factored into this yet. Does a company like Big Bad Toy Store go, all right, this thing is $200. When it comes out next year, there's going to be a whole slew of people who go, oh man, I missed out. I want to get it now. And I'll pay whatever I need to for it. And we've seen that they've been able to get some of these crowdfund projects and then decide, hey, we got you. And they charge a little bit more for it, but you're going to, it's not going to be for free. And so, excuse me, I'm trying to see if they don't even have it on their site anymore. I know they had the Galactus for a second, but that's something I'd be curious to see other retailers like Big Bad Toy Store, if they're just waiting until that final day before they put a massive order. And I think for something the price of Giant Man, it would be worth their investment because Hot Toys are more expensive than that. And if you could sell Giant Man in 2024 for $300, $400, they've totally made their money back. I mean, shoot, if they can sell for $400, they paid for 2 off of selling 1. And I feel like there's going to be people who have that buyer's remorse that they didn't get it or the non-buyer's remorse if they don't and it does get back. So we'll see. Educator says, Mr. Cheeseburger, correct. Quite the conundrum. Pletho, why does it have to be a HasLab figure or not? Couldn't Wasp be both? I'm not quite sure I understand your question, but let me take 2 stabs out of here. I think you're going with, should Wasp be part of that HasLab? I feel like Wasp is definitely one of those characters who would have made sense to go in there. Not in the classic Avengers mold, not that one. That should be available to everyone. Because we've got an Ant-Man at retail, we've got Thor, we've got an Iron Man that you can get at retail, and we're still waiting to get a Hulk in the Speedos, but it's Hulk, so we know we're going to get that eventually, just longer than I want. But Get Wasp in there. That makes sense. She's got so many different costumes. They really just could have gone like this, chosen a random weird version of her outfits, and it'd have been fine because people have been like, okay, it's not my favorite one, but that makes sense for her because she has all these wild and wacky costumes. And yeah, I just feel like that's the way they could have gone with that, and people would have been on board. I wouldn't have minded if they just repainted that retro vintage version of Wasp just to give us a different look. I'd have been fine with that. So there were ways to win with her as part of the HasLab. I just feel like they didn't for whatever reason. 80s kid says Hush Superman is an amazing figure. You know, I saw that figure and he looked real pale to me. I wonder if yours had a better paint job because his skin tone looked really like a dude who hates the sun. He's like Edward from Twilight version of Superman. Brigantire. On the subject of the zombie faceplate, are there even any other Marvel zombie figures out? Yeah, but the problem is they don't match up with the zombie giant man, which is such a like, why are y'all trying to pitch this as a great idea? Because it's not. It's one of those situations where you're trying to sell something, but it does not make any sense. So let's go here because I raised that question when they revealed it. It was like, what are y'all doing? So here he is. Here's Zombie Giant Man. But you see the characters right alongside him. It's Iron Man based on his MCU look. And it's Marvel Zombie from the MCU in his look. And then we've also got Scarlet Witch one more time in her MCU look. So this Giant Man, as cool as he is, doesn't even match up with the Marvel Zombie figures they've thrown in there. And in the zombie storyline, he wasn't really, no, I guess maybe he was a zombie, but this is just such a weird choice for an incentive bonus for this thing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, guys, they're going to blame us for this failing and they're making shirts about it. Plato, okay, cool. I was with you. Make Wasp it's here for the HasLab, but also it's coming out next year without a special HasLab box. Well, I definitely don't think they should ever do like here's a slightly different deco on a HasLab figure. I think Wasp has enough looks. They could have made her in her Secret Wars attire. That's a pretty popular look. Maybe they don't go with that one, but she has so many iconic looks. That'd have been fine. I was talking to one of my buddies earlier today, and we were debating which look for Wasp would have made sense. Here's one that I had that for our conversation pulled out. That's something they could have thrown into the HasLab. And we're like, yeah, okay, cool. So Wasp variant that makes sense and comic accurate. They could have just done that with any Wasp costume and it'd been fine. So man, Marvel, didn't they say at the beginning the tiers didn't affect the cost? They were bonus? No. So I feel like there was this thought that I guess they are a bonus, but they came out now and during different interviews during New York Comic Con and through this whole promotional process, and they said we could have thrown in figures, but they would add to the cost. Would you rather have these figures thrown in and us charge more for it, or have a reduced cost HasLab? And again, the heads aren't cheap; they're not free, so I don't want those. I would love for Hasbro to do what we just saw Mattel do with their crowdfund, where it's like, hey, choose which one you want us to do next. And that was great because it felt like you guys are going to partner up with us on this project. So you get a voice, you get a say in what gets done. And I feel like that was so smart because if you're expecting your customer base to fork out however much cash you want to charge for this thing, give them the options, give them a few options, and let them decide. Because then that way, you've got their interest, you've got their money invested in something they want to see. Now, granted, you're going to have people going, oh, yeah, I want this version with no intention of buying, but you've got a better sense of what your base wants to get if you do a survey, if you do a poll with maybe 4 or 5 options for your HasLab. I think for the most part, they've had really good HasLab options, even the Engine of Vengeance. But I think for them, they should really do tiers or polls on the tiers because I feel like if it was modern characters with this Ghost Rider set, people go, no, that's the last one we want. We want the Dan Ketch option where we have him, a Johnny Blaze, and here's some classic Ghost Rider villains. We want those guys too. But Goblin Queen, Mephisto, Damon Hellstrom in his modern look, I think that would have been the last one. Like C, like negative. Nobody wants those. But if you gave us the option of our tier figures, I think that would really work for them. And they would see tiers are viable. People do want them. Excuse me. It's just our selections and choices that didn't inspire people to back it. If they're smart, they'll reveal a new Pym-related figure each day as they get closer to the deadline. I mean, it's not many days left, but I think that would help too. Mr. Cheeseburger, this gets funded or not, Marvel fandom has a lot of work to do in terms of communicating what they want. EOV was one thing. Now this is another. Marvel Legends fans are the worst fans. Sorry. Well, I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. If they were to put out a poll, that's a way they could really hear what the customers want. And to some degree, I agree. You know, they're just some people are never going to be happy with whatever they could say. I want XYZ. They show figures of XYZ exactly the way they wanted. You know, not like they did with Justice. And I'm going to keep hammering on that. It's terrible. Or Namorita. Nobody wanted those versions of those characters. But if they delivered, people would still go, well, maybe the price is too high. It's just something that's like, well, we can't ever make you guys happy. But they really could with polls. I think they would satisfy most of the customers and have a better sense of what they want, improve their communication out with these random options. Like, I feel like it'd be really great if they were to just go, here are 10 figures coming out, choose the look. Mattel's WWE team does that, and it's really great. It's part of their fan takeover line, and every year they put on WWE.com, put it out on social media, which versions of this character do you want to see? They typically have 3 attire choices. That makes a lot of sense for wrestlers because they wear different gear all the time. But imagine if they were to do that with characters like Captain America. Which variant do you want to see Captain America next? And which version of Blade do you want to see next? Which version of Iron Fist do you want to see? The one that goes with this new Power Man that you did. But imagine if they did that now with like the full wave of something, but just like 5, 10 figures. I mean, Marvel Legends cranks out so many figures. I think putting us in the mix for figures would be okay too. But I mean, just making us engaged and part of it. Not like, here's our arbitrary random choice for this costume. And then people complain about it and go, not that choice. Why'd you come up with that one? And they can alleviate some of those issues and problems just from putting it out to the customers before and then getting a backlash. And then the customers, the Marvel Legends fans going, this sucks. We didn't ask for this. And they can eliminate some of that. Andrew K says, personally don't believe that rhetoric from the Marvel Legends team. Nah, for sure. I mean, in terms of that. Yep. DJ Jedi says, dozens, if not hundreds of hours of YouTube creators clamoring for Giant Man HasLab over the past year. And I know I contributed several hours to that. Never heard a peep from anyone hoping for Skrull or zombie heads as tiers. No one asked for this. DJ Jedi, you are right. I mean, nobody was asking for those. They were coming up with all these different combinations of figures they could throw in these tiers, and it was really exciting because there were so many choices, so many directions they could have gone with. Now, one of my original choices for a Giant Man HasLab was Hank in his red jumpsuit, which we did get with the West Coast Avengers set. That was really cool to see. Another one, of course, was Wasp. And here's some other characters that make a lot of sense to associate just with Hank. So don't understand what they did, but yeah, I mean, use the YouTubers. We're out here, we're all communicating, we got our chats. People in the chats are saying, hey, this is what we want. And I feel like the marketing team the design team could save a lot of trouble, a lot of backlash just from listening to what the majority of the fan base, whether on forums like the Fush or YouTubers who are putting out this stuff, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. and just say, oh, this is actually what they want. Let's do that. Cream Man, what's going on, my friend? Andrew says this is the Toy Biz Giant Man still hold up for you guys. For me, he's pretty decent. I mean, I definitely don't hate on him. I do really wish I had a modern updated one, just like we're seeing with this one. But I don't hate him at all. I think he is one of the better figures in terms of still working in your collection. Now, if we don't get another version of him, I'm gonna be like, we had a better one. He was right here. But there are other figures that desperately need revamps, and I think the Toy Biz one holds up okay, but it's definitely a better looking figure. And I pull this out whenever people ask about it because I feel like this gives you a real good sense of how good he looks with the rest of the figures from this era and how he matches up and how a better, cooler looking version would do. And this is my Toy Biz Marvel Legends Giant Man alongside the mostly modern, because a lot of these figures have been replaced. We got the old Toy Biz Hercules in here. I have a more colorful Scarlet Witch, upgraded Black Panther, the 20th. Yeah, a lot of swapping out. This one's probably the only figure that's still in here, but you can see how he matches up with these guys. And just to give you a sense of the scale, he's tall enough to be Giant Man. He's not bending over or anything like that. And Cap is just kind of leaning forward. So, excuse me, maybe it's like 2 figures tall, but I think however many figures that new one is, excuse me, it looks pretty cool. So, but at least they have a render Wasp. That's great. And we really needed her. Rancor Keeper flashbacks. Yes. Stug agrees. The Toy Biz Giant Man is great. Yeah. One of Toy Biz's first figures. Andrew says, would have liked a HasLab Giant Man slightly taller than Toy Biz version with Goliath. Hell Jacket and Wasp for 300. That was another way I was going. I felt like throwing in a buck to create more figures like Goliath would have worked really well for them, and giving them the option where people wouldn't feel ripped off and feel like, hey, we got cheated. Just throwing this guy in here as a tier, giving them a blank body where they could do all kinds of other versions of Goliath. We could do, just have a swap out belt, basically. And then we could have had our Goliath. We don't even need, he's basically a repaint. He's got some boot cuff action going here, and I think the gloves are different. So yeah, there's some similarities, there's some differences, but enough that they could cheap out really easily and do that figure. And then we'd still need the Hank Barton Goliath to complete the Kree Skrull War version. I'm really worried that we're not going to see more of these characters if this HasLab fails. And of course, we need the Thunderbolts Atlas. We're halfway done with the team, so we still need a lot of giants in this line. And I'm worried the lesson the Hasbro Marvel Legends team is going to take, oh, you guys don't want giants in your collection, which is not what we were saying at all. Mr. Cheeseburger, Dan Ryan, and Dwight deserve a lot better. Dude, they put out awesome work. They're in the front lines taking all these hits from everybody online. Engine Avengers gave us the potential of 5 figures. And YouTubers talk everybody not to back the EOV. It was the figure choices. I feel like there were so many better options for it. Who are Robbie's villains as Ghost Rider? Why not throw them in there? They hadn't been made as figures before. That would have been a really good choice because, hey, we got our Hot Rod Ghost Rider. Here are some of his villains as tiers. Here's some other Ghost Riders as tiers. There's some weird choices for that one all around. Play says, I feel like they begrudgingly revealed the Wasp render today. Like, oh, well, if we have to. Patrick Prime says, I know corporations' goal is to make money, but it's a shame that it appears that their desire for a massive profit margin far outweighs the value of the product to the customer. I feel like there's a way that they could have absolutely done right by the fans, the collectors, and just sat back and watched all the money roll. Like, imagine if they had put in figure tiers how much sooner Giant Man would have funded. I feel like they kind of made this one more complicated than it need be. I mean, I can't help but look at how easily the Dragonfly funded. Like, it eventually got to the tiers. That was a little bit more like, oh, okay, they're gonna do it or not. But it did. The Ghost was twice as much, and it funded with no problem. I mean, it was so quick, so fast. They had a really good time and putting out the same time as the Ahsoka show featuring the Ghost or showing her a little bit came out, and these characters were on TV basically every week the same time that the HasLab was going on. There's no buzz, there's no momentum. They should have probably had this HasLab up at the same time as Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, before it hit theaters, before people were like, I don't know if I like that movie. But yeah, the time is kind of weird, and they really could have made this work just the way they did it. Mason wants to know, have I done any October post? No, I haven't. Now I need to look that up. I still got a few days left. Badgerel says, I felt like in the years past we paid for products and the value was there for us. Yeah, agreed. It's one of those situations where you got more accessories, you got more stuff, you got Build-A-Figure parts, and now we're lucky if we get some fists, and especially if you compare it to G.I. Joe Classified series figure, where it's like, where do I put all this stuff? Oh, great, they've included a storage locker. I mean, I wasn't tripping on the storage locker, but it's kind of cool because I can put all the extra gear in there, and that's really nice. Northern Nomad, what's up? August, bruh. Says, I feel like they add payment plans, these HasLab would sell more. I'm right there with you. Because again, I mean, Sideshow Collectibles does it with Hot Toys, and Hot Toys are right around the same price, maybe a little bit more than some of these HasLabs. And it's kind of like, well, if they can do it, why can't you all? And it definitely seems like it's doable. It's something that should not be a problem, but for whatever reason, they opt out and choose to go a different direction. And on that, let's pull him up because he just was shown today. It looks really crazy and really wild. It is the Spider-Man 2 Hot Toys Venom, and this figure looks really amazing, really great. And this figure's price tag is not cheap. It's $465. And he's expected to come out basically the end of next year. So your Christmas present. But you see this, and I think this is what's really great. Flexible payment options. You can do interest free from $51.19 a month. So you put down your $45 deposit, $45.50 deposit, and then from February next year till September, you just pay $51.19, and sheesh, that's two figures nowadays at regular price, and then you got a $455 figure. And this one's really cool. I mean, I think they did an awesome job with them, and it's like, okay, let's see what I'm getting here with this. This figure looks crazy. He's way bigger than Miles or Peter. And we got all these different head sculpts. That looks really great. The tongues growing all these different directions. He's got tentacles. You got 3 styles of tongues. It's wild. And just so much fun stuff with it. And if Hot Toys figures can go for a payment plan, these HasLabs, we're just still going to take just as long. Like this one, when we do get them, is going to come after the Dragonfly, which will probably be, maybe the summer of 2024. So why can't they do it? And the price is cheaper. And if you could just break it down to 4 payments over the course of any 4 months you want to pay, I think that'd be great. Do a non-refundable deposit. That way you've got some money in the tank. And, so people decide I'm backing out. Well, I got your $50 and we could sell this figure to anywhere. We put some special edition releases on Hasbro Pulse. I feel like if they released some of these figures back on Pulse, people would still buy them. And they wouldn't be going, oh, I feel ripped off because it came out and then you got some more. Excuse me, I don't think that's how it would work, especially if they set up a payment plan. So I think that's a great idea, August, bro. And he really should do it. Stickman says the Morg Nova and Silver Surfer helped push me over the top and go ahead and back Galactus. Giant Man is just mad at me. Yeah, man, it's just that's what I'm saying. It's like the figures. I mean, the whole baseline of this thing is that we love action figures. We're collecting figures, so the idea of getting more figures. I mean, we're paying for them, but getting more figures, that's what works. So, yeah. Matthew, thank you so much. I appreciate that. we're all here in this thing talking about figures together, right? Andrew, remember Marvel Legends used to come with multiple headsculpts? Yes. Like the Black Knight, to me, that figure is like the pinnacle of how much cool stuff you get with the Marvel Legends figure back in the day. The New Mutants pack, or the New Mutants figures, the Danny Moonstar. That's how she was built, but she could do a 3-figure option if you just army built her. That was really cool. And I feel like that's the kind of ingenuity, the creativity, that extra that's kind of missing as of late. And I'm not sure if it's just because the team is just kind of been disillusioned. The costs are so much at this point, but I really love the option of having multiple figures. The Black Widow with the different head sculpts, that was great. I want to see more of that. Just $27.99, but with those options, it felt like, okay, cool. That's almost worth it. I mean, we don't have that same great options we did with the New Mutants, where you could make 3 other characters and then you have all these extra heads lying around. But it's whatever. I thought that was really cool, and definitely something they should look into doing more often. James, love your channel. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And thank you all again for watching. Mr. Cheeseburger, Ramen Racer Cars 200s, no figures, $15.49 for flame effects, another $15.49 for wheel add-ons, no figures, $236 plus tax shipping, no figures, but $350 for 5 figures in a 2-mode car. Come on. I think what you're seeing with that is Ramen's racer car. Ramen's not Hasbro. Ramen's figures aren't popping up at Target, Walmart, GameStop, etc. So there's that inherent thing of, okay, I'm going to have to pay a little bit more because this is not a mass market release. I guess the same is true with these HasLabs, but it is kind of like, yeah, Hasbro, would people really not buy these figures if you put a big, massive box on your Target shelf? Would people not want that? I feel like we've seen it with the Transformers. They're putting out $200 figures on the shelf, and they seem like that people are buying them. So I don't quite understand what the hesitancy is with it, where it's like, you did it for this brand, why can't you do it with this one? And I'm just trying to see now if you can actually find it. Fortress Maximus. There we go. Let's try that again. If Target still has any of these available, let's see. Metropolis. Metroplex. I don't want to call him Metropolis. That's terrible. Get all my brands mixed up and confused. But they did have the Generations 2 Metroplex there. And yeah, I don't know what happened where they were able to get that over on the store shelves and these Hasbro things didn't. I feel like the Engine of Vengeance, if they had gone, we're not going to do tiers, we're not going to do figures, if it was just Robbie straight up and the Ghost Rider parts you could just swap, I think they could have put that at retail, and I feel like people would have bought it. You say strip out the lighting and all those effects, I really think people would have been all about it and bought it. So I don't know. I feel like there were different options, different ways they could approach it, but it just didn't work. EOV was insulting. I just wish they had done something. Did I back the HasLab? Oh yeah. I mean, I'm with all of you who are backing it, checking daily, maybe 3 or 4 times a day. Jeffrey Lyles is absolutely checking and seeing, hey, is this going to get funded? Because I want it to get funded. So yeah. Sean Maurice goes, I'm only upset because I don't think this was fun, and we, those who don't have the Toy Biz version, will never get this Giant Man. Sean, exactly. I mean, it's in every way, this Hasbro version of Giant Man is better. Now, if you want to go, I want it smaller, I mean, you got some room there for your Giant Man from Toy Biz, but in every other way, this is a better figure. And the prices on eBay are pretty similar, and to the point where it's like you're not really making out, you're not winning getting that version at this point when a superior one is available and is right there for you. Let's see here. I'm trying to find what it's going for because I like doing this too because, oh man, see, it's wild. And I think we're starting to see a lot of people are maybe holding out hope to get this giant man from Hasbro because look at this auction. This is crazy. I mean, we got this here, and there's so many missing parts, and they want $134.99 for it. That's crazy. So there's no left fist, there's no right arm, there's no right leg, and they're charging 134. I mean, geez, for 70 more bucks, you get a taller giant man, and he's got everything, all the parts, all the hands, all the articulation, and everything. It's just wild. And then we've got another one going 350. That's pretty wild. Then we got this one. He's missing the right foot, but 194. I think we're seeing some eBay sellers getting emboldened because the price of the HasLab is not going the way we want it, or the backing is not going the way we want. So they're going, oh yeah, I can make a decent amount of money selling my giant man because people are going to be desperate real soon. I mean, we got the upper torso and head for $41.95. I mean, these prices are wild. And here's one, and it's another one. It's not complete. No right fist. They want $189.99 for it. That's wild. So people are going, oh, this isn't going to fun. I can make a killing selling my giant man right now. And I really hope for everyone who doesn't have it, who wants it, this one gets funded. I mean, I have it, but I definitely want the Hasbro version. So here's hoping we all get it, Sean, because yeah, that's not a thing that's going to work out. Eddie, what's up? Had a resort on vacation, but still tuning in. I appreciate it. Where are you on vacation? I hope you're having a nice, relaxing time. Brian Marcia says, hey, we need this thing funded. And I'm with you, Brian. I want this thing to get back and funded. DJ Jedi says Hasbro's decision to not release figures from failed HasLab at a later date is a choice. We got multiple versions of Mojo, MODOK, and MCU Falcon Cap within months of each other. Why not for HasLabs? That's an interesting question. Yeah, because it's kind of like, no more Rancor. He's off the table. And I'm really surprised we haven't seen like another company go, here's our cave beast who has a Gamorrean guard head. That's not really a Rancor. But, you know, I mean, geez, they Rancor showed up in the Book of Boba Fett. That would have been a perfect time to throw him out there. So, excuse me, I'm with you. I feel like they should revisit these figures. Maybe no tiers, just a baseline, bare bones version. Maybe they have to cut some of the articulation. Excuse me. Maybe some of that great paint job gets shelved and scrapped. Maybe they just do it that way, but I don't know. Ski Raider. Wasp looks nice. Good to announce. That's all we wanted. What they did with Airborne and Doc. Assuage and then turn out the BS. Thanks, ML team. Exactly. Colette to disconnect. Yo, late to the party. The party is still going on. We're still rocking out here. Blake says, like with Star Wars and the Rancor, and Star Wars moving to a different scale for the next HasLab. Maybe Marvel will do a Quinjet for the 3.75 Marvel Legends if Giant Man doesn't fund. Right, exactly. I still have my Marvel Universe. I haven't sold them off this time for the third time. I have them, so that wouldn't be a terrible thing for me. But yeah, man, it's kind of like what? I mean, I feel like all the Giants are going to be on the table. And then what are they going to do? Because the vehicles already failed. Are they going to go, well, you guys don't want vehicles. You don't want giant characters. So no more HasLabs. I'm really curious. Are they going to then shift to doing like teams? And then would teams work? Because now, I posted my top 50 Marvel Legends and someone commented, I was with you on your list till you said the Marauders. So if they were to go with a Marauders HasLab, would that be up in the air? People go, oh man, I would have bought it if it was the Masters of Evil or if it was the Frightful Four. It's just, I don't know. I really question what they're going to do and what they're going to blame, what they're going to say. Well, we tried to do what you guys wanted and you guys don't want to back us anymore. I really hope this funds. That way the Marvel Legends team, Dwight, Dan, Ryan can go, whew, heads don't have to roll on a second consecutive crowdfund, not funding. And then kind of take all the lessons that they learned from all the previous ones, the ones that succeeded, the ones that failed, and go, here's our new strategy, and just go with that. They had enough time between the next one to really make use of those lessons. Ken Robinson, what's going on? What's up, Jeff? Just picked up the Daredevil Electra from the same wave as that Tarantula. She's the best female figure from Marvel Legends. I enjoy her more than that new Black Widow. That's really interesting. I still haven't read this Daredevil run. I like the Daredevil figure; it looks kind of cool. It's a nice little alternate take on him. But maybe I should read it so I can then go, I want to check out this Electra figure. All right, kid, I'm gonna have to read it so I can see if it's worth grabbing. Green Man, I'm close to pulling the trigger on that giant man. Do it, do it, do it. Guns up. Bullet Club shout out. Bullet Club Gold. I'm close to pulling the trigger on that giant man. I bought imports that are 5 inches for half or a third the price. And if I don't like it, I can try to flip it. I guarantee you, Green Man, if you don't like it, people are going to want to buy it. I'm seeing on action figure boards on Facebook and Facebook groups that I belong to, people going, hey, I've got to sell my HasLab Galactus. I'm asking $549 for it. And I don't feel like a lot of people are blinking. They're going, okay, yeah, I'm down for that. So I think the whole thrill of it not being readily available and no other option besides going to a secondary seller will really help you if you decide you don't like it. And now you've got me curious, what would be the eBay price for a HasLab? Let's check out the signal, what he's rocking with on the prices there. Just because I feel like you're not going to have any problem with that. So $669, $1,499 for both this and on Galactus, $600, $750. People are watching too. It's like 95 watching this $600 one, and then $659. We got a $255 plus 165 shipping, so it's not really the big deal. But these tier figures, $85. That's what I'm talking about. People are also charging $199 for the 3 figures, the tiers. $294, $700, $600, $549. Yeah, I think you're going to be okay. Just fine if you decide, I don't want Giant Man after all. You can flip him and probably afford the next HasLab or 2 based on what you get there. Just figures. There's so many G.I. Joe figures coming out for pre-order that I can't justify purchasing the Giant Man. I do hope it backs, though. It's a dope figure, especially with that Wasp. That's another problem. They have a backload of figures coming, and I mean, Buzzard's already out on Big Bad Toy Store, which means the rest of these figures in this wave are probably going to be showing up a lot sooner than December. So, yeah, the timing of this is kind of shaky, but I'm with you. Hopefully it does sell. Eat Simpler Hunter says, I'm not sure the Legends line really has much left in the tank. I was in Walmart yesterday, and the 3 most recent waves are warming pegs. I think the Legends line is nearing its end. So that's an interesting thought. I feel like there's still so many people. Like, watch the video of the top 15 most wanted Marvel Legends that I did a couple weeks back. There were so many different responses. I could have probably cobbled together a list of 150 or 200 based on everybody else's suggestions of what other Marvel Legend figures they would buy. I think there's plenty gas, excitement left, but I feel like they need to start making good on some of those exciting choices. We can't get waves like this recent one with Savage, Namor, Namorita, Justice, just random choices for characters. We need to start coming through with what people are asking for on their wish list. And there's still plenty. There's a score of figures to go from. But I think what you're seeing is this artificially stretching the line out. Let's not do the versions of this character that you really want. And then 2 years from now, here you go. Aren't we heroes? But I don't think that's where they need to go. I think people are getting tired of paying $25 for figures. That's why you're seeing so many waves peg warm, because people are going, nope, I'll buy it when it's on clearance or when Hasbro Pulse has a sale, but I'm not paying $25 for a figure that has no accessories. Like this guy, no accessories. It was really weird, really odd, and I'm really glad I paid $749 for him at Target when he was on clearance. So I think that's kind of more of the issue, that they're just too expensive. They're not doing the best choices for all the figures and characters, and they're doing stuff that people aren't asking for, and of course that results in stuff just sitting on the pegs waiting for the sales. Lost in. People are tapped out. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to tap them out too. Stug, what can Hasbro do before Monday that will get people hyped to back Giant Man? Oh, let's see. Reveal some more Hank Pym associated characters and figures. 6-inch scale Giant Man. You could do Science is Dr. Pym, where he's just in a lab coat. I mean, we got the molds from Bruce Banner. Just give him a lab coat. The one from Reed Richards. Call it a day. I don't feel like people would be upset buying that figure. Maybe you do the 6-inch Ant-Man with the lab coat top or the sleeves, and you got another variant of Ant-Man and Hank Pym, and people are like, cool. Like, that would be something that would work. Throw him in the HasLab. What are some villains of his? Another version of Ultron that would always work. Like I said, Jarvis. There's lots of choices, lots of options that they could still do that would work. Throw in a Wonder Man and one of his really wild outfits back when Ant-Man took out the Avengers. You could use that goofy green, yellow, and red attire. There's lots of options, lots of choices still available, and they could work, and that could happen with no problem, I think. Exemplar, hard to compete with G.I. Joe. It sells out in hours. It's impossible to keep on shelves. It's hotter than ever with no movie, with no cartoon, with a comic book that's still coming, but we haven't got any new issues of that in a while. It's just wild how put out good figures. People are all about it. All about the villains. Yo, yo, yo. Tequila. I'm surprised the Ghost was funded. 500 was a laugh at that. It was. It really was. And it had no problem getting all the tiers. I mean, that's how excited people were for it. Like, if money weren't a thing, I'd been like, get me the Ghost and all those figures associated with it. So, yeah. Excuse me. Andrew K. If Giant Man HasLab fails, Hasbro could try an MCU HasLab. Which one would you want to see? Which one would you back? Because I feel like the MCU is a little bit cold. It's a little chilly right now. And I feel like trying to go with an MCU HasLab would be so risky. And I don't even know what figure would work. I mean, the one that seems like the most obvious would be a HasLab Giant Man for the MCU. But outside of that, who else would work and justify a HasLab for an MCU character? Mr. Cheeseburger. Only G.I. Joe is G.I. Joe. And now you know. Yo, Joe. Mr. Cheeseburger. Facts. You're right, 80s kid. Jay Wood says, G.I. Joe line didn't help out releasing the fire team. His fans just had to get that to complete a collection. Yeah, and it was like, bam. And people are always excited to add to their G.I. Joe Cobra armies. Breaking Tire, man, Fing Fang Foom would be awesome. I don't collect Marvel Legends, but I might even go in on Foom and put them in my Dungeons and Dragons collection. That would work. Yeah, that crossover for some of these figures makes buying them a little bit easier. I don't know where the crossover is from Galactus, but there's definitely that option with some of these figures. Wow, I didn't realize how far behind I was. Jeez, that's crazy. Okay. Is it October 24th yet? Says Tom Finn in 2018. I did back today. Yes. But man, I'll be glad when this is over. Andrew K. Loving this G.I. Joe Classified pre-order flood. Tripwire just shipped. Mr. Cheeseburger, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. Marvel Legends fans have spoken. They don't want it. That really seems like that. But we're rolling. We're getting some momentum. More guys. Tom Finn. We're backing it every day. So hopefully it'll still happen. Austin. Lessons learned by Hasbro. This time, people want a 24-inch Wolverine. Just Figure says Apocalypse and his Horseman would be dope. Espionage if you get some weapons, especially if you get some weapons and accessories. I would be down for the Horseman. I'm really curious if people. I feel like I'm seeing those guys mentioned a lot more than people have been mentioning wanting X Factor, which I think is odd because I think of the Four Horsemen. I'm thinking those dudes riding the metallic gold horses, fighting Cyclops, Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Bobby, Iceman, Beast, and then hey, look, here comes Archangel. So yeah. James says I like that Apocalypse suggestion. Andrew says Jarvis may not be exciting, but he is essential for sure. Lawson, how are we going to get Jarvis? Pray Ramen Toys give us Butler Man. Yes, we may have to hope for that. Jay was, I wonder if Marvel Legends would sell the Wasp as a deluxe, a la Black Widow. I wouldn't be upset if they just kept cranking her out every so often and putting her in box sets. Like that would be an easy one where they could just repaint, maybe switch up the hair, call it a day. Because I feel like there's still viable Avenger box sets that they could still do, and I would buy them, just like this West Coast Avengers one. Lomo Musician. Hey, Jeff, I'm disappointed in the fact that I don't feel very confident the Giant Man will fund, which will be a bummer and avoid on my Avengers shelf. Yeah, man, for sure. Jamelin, what's up? Driving home from dinner. Hopefully dinner was good. I had a pretty good dinner myself. X gonna give it to you. This is my first live stream with you, bro. Thanks. Hopefully it will not be your last one. DJ No Good. Does anyone have any idea of other characters to make it an X-Men 97 line? Yeah, we're gonna get the Cyclops part of the team. I guess Beast. Maybe this is their opportunity to give us a slightly sized down version of Beast that could work as a Perez Burn style version. Maybe. I did open that X-Men 97 Wolverine, and he's a dope, really great figure. The only slight change I wish they included in this makes no sense because it's based off the X-Men 97 cartoon, is they included the belt buckle, like make it a swappable one, so I can have my iconic John Byrne, Dave Cockrum era X-Men Wolverine. I think this is the closest one to that. Just need that belt swapped out so I can have that classic look. There are all those classic runs with the Tiger Stripe outfit. Blaze Star sitting at 6,447. Went up a couple hundred since Comic Con, but only 4 days left. Yeah, let's see here. I feel like this is so exciting watching the progress of a HasLab. Where are we now? 6,492. Maybe some of y'all are backing it as we speak, as I speak, and as I'm reading what you guys are saying in the chat. So maybe we'll see them keep moving here over the course of the next few hours. Not that I'm going to be on for the next couple hours, but you guys get it. G Brew, I would have gotten the Sentinel if I could afford it. I was unemployed at the time, so I missed out. Yeah, I mean, he was expensive too. But I will say that one seems to be a little concerning because people's issues with it falling because of those janky knees. And that was not the figure you wanted falling because you're going to have it at the top of your display, I would assume. And if he falls and breaks, it's not a good look for anybody. Bad Wolf, the HasLab doesn't succeed. Watch out for the aftermarket prices on Toy Biz Giant Man, which are happening right now. Blake, I'm surprised they had the Giant Man face plates and antenna, not a couple of tiny wasps and 5 points of articulation. Wasp, that's a bit bigger, 3 inches. That would have been a great idea. They should have done that too. DJ, no good. I was not collecting when they made the Sentinel or Galactus. I mean, that's always the thing. I mean, I know sometimes us long in the tooth collectors are like, why are they making another Captain America? How many Spider-Man figures do we need? But you're exactly why, DJ No Good. There's always someone new coming into the line. And honestly, they make better versions with each iteration. So it's like, I'm paying more for another figure I've already got, but it's slightly better. So everybody wins in this case. The new collectors, the older collectors who want a slightly better version. So it all works out for all of us. Jeeber, yeah. Gene was wearing a Marvel Girl costume from 2019 and 2021 as well. And off and on since then. Yeah. That's when they decided to kill all suspense out of the X-Men. Nobody dies. So the last time I looked, Toy Biz Giant Man was around 180. I know, it's crazy. I mean, it's like the same price essentially as this new one, which is so much better. Lawson, for the record, I was all in on Giant Man on day one. I wanted to fund, but the Legends team botched it. 4 days left to give us a glimpse of a Wasp figure coming who knows when? Come on. Yeah, exactly. Lefty Two Lions BK, thank you, my friend, for the $5 super chat. Chris Rock Voice, Giant Man, 200. No accessories, figures, but has a crazy hand articulation and faces. Now, I'm not saying it should get funded, but I understand. I heard you, and I heard Chris Rock absolutely saying that. Henry G, thank you for the $2 super chat. Yo, Joe! You can always get me out with that. Lawson, thank you for the $20 super chat. Because Lyle's Figure Files is truly amazing. Thank you so much. It's amazing because of you all watching and tuning in, participating in the chats, and being so active. That's what's the secret sauce of Lyle's Figure Files. Hope this helps your figure buying power a little. It does. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So let's get back into the other chats. Make sure I haven't missed them. Let's see, where'd I go? There we go. Perfect. Didn't miss too many. A little bit behind, but we'll get there. Didn't get the retro Loki because the head was too big. I don't know. I mean, maybe in hand it might look a little bit different to you because I don't look at it and go, oh, the head's too big. I like it, but let me know if you see it again, if you think a little bit different on it. Daniel got a haul update. McFarlane Frankenstein, $16. Good. Maggot, Retro Loki, and Superboy Prime at Ross. I feel like that's where I would buy or think really, really hard about Superboy Prime. He's the same height as Superman, isn't he? I wish McFarlane understood scale. That would be awesome. Regular Crosshair from the Bad Batch and a Somo Gladiator. Hulk Bath for the newer version. Good deal. You made out pretty well. 80s Kid, Hasbro will be the dummy of the week. They forget about the 10th anniversary for Rebels. Man, there's so many versions of so many lines that they haven't done what I would consider the best adequate versions of celebrating their anniversaries. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Ahsoka is going to help on that end. Otherwise, I think they would kind of drop the ball. Also got the Sinestro Corps Batman. He looks dope. He does. DJ No Good says old school Loki from D Plus is the best. I need to see that figure with some of those other ones. I haven't really seen it with comic book characters, so I'm curious how that would look. Lomo Musician says Marvel Legends' dream of mine is to get to live in Tribunal as well as an Inhumans wave with Lockjaw as the Bath. I was really pulling for that Inhumans TV show because I figured Hasbro would go, let's get all the Inhuman stuff we possibly can. It's not really that many characters to do them either. I mean, still need Crystal, Triton. We still need Maximus, Gorgon, and Lockjaw. And we would have the Inhumans covered as far as I'm concerned. The important ones done in figure form. Lawson, 70 people bought into Giant Man since they announced the Wasp figure. Needs 400 plus a day to make the dream real. That is really interesting. I don't see what the harm is with going, hey, here's a quick render. I mean, I would have my digital rendering team going hard over the next 4 days going, how many renders of characters can you put out there? And, not to be like dishonest, but I mean, you just say, hey, this version of this character that we revealed during the Giant Man fundraising is going to be delayed. Stay tuned. But gosh, I mean, how hard is it to make some more renders? Andrew K says, Lockjaw has been a bath for 2 decades now for many OG Marvel Legends collectors. Yes, it still haven't done them. Like, there's 300 million people in this country. That means chances are good to come back on the very last day. I hope it does. Aquarius Man. Hi, Jeff. How are you? I'm good. How are you feeling about the Celtics? I'm curious about these new moves, how they're going to work out for them, and I will never tire of Lakers Celtics finals. So hopefully, knock on wood, that'll happen again for the 19th time. That'd be fun. Juan Sanchez, I'm surprised by the pessimism in the community. I feel extremely confident that this is going to get back. Fear of missing out is a very powerful thing. The purchase date supports this getting back. I'm hoping so too. I'm really, really hoping we get Giant Man. And next time this year, I'm starting to go, okay, how am I going to redesign my Avengers shelf? I've got all these new Avengers that we haven't seen yet. And I've got this massive, amazing Giant Man that's going to get added in a few more months. Much the same with the His Tank that's going to come, the Dragonfly that's going to come for my G.I. Joes. Educate Quantum with you. Giant Man should get back, but with no tears. Stoked. I think it would be fun if Hasbro announces something crazy. Like what? What would it be? What would it take for you to back it? Dark Knight 297. What's good, Jeff and everyone else? I backed the Marvel Legends Giant Man. I really want it, but I don't think it'll meet its goal. Hopefully it will. Lawson, vocal fans out there whine about paywalls. They don't represent all fans. And I'm kind of curious if it's the fans who backed the project or the ones who weren't going to back it with no figures or not. Because those are the ones I'm kind of like, well, does their opinion matter as much as those who backed it? I don't know. I mean, if you got it funded all the way with all the tiers, seems like that would have worked. Aquarius Man says, Jeff, the HasLab tier locks are weak. They should listen to the fans, give them what they want. They want this HasLab to be funded. I always think that is a good strategy to make things work. Ocean Views 888, what up? What up? Jeff, did you back the HasLab? I did. And so I've got everything squared away and like, okay, let's make this thing happen because, gotta put in a little extra work to make that thing happen. All right, Mr. Cheeseburger, let's fix Marvel Legends. The first thing we need to do is get rid of the BAF program. Instead, offering more accessories. No more HasLab ever. Figure waves on all new bodies and waves of only 5 figures. I like some of your suggestions. They're really good. I definitely like the new bodies because I feel like they do really good figures on some of these new bodies, and then some are like, this isn't the way I would have gone with this character. I'm definitely with you. We need more accessories and new accessories too. Let's see. Wave of only 5 figures. I'm kind of okay with that, provided, excuse me, they wouldn't put out, because their figures, their waves, I'm like, I'm not interested in that. I may get 5 figures in a wave, like this new one, the mindless wave ones. I'm not getting that Gamerverse Iron Man. I'm not getting the Fist Ninja. So that takes me down to Clea, Power Man, Blade. I'm kind of on the fence with this Daredevil because I think he just looks cool. So that's 4 of the wave. And, if I'm averaging that anyway, maybe it doesn't matter. But I got to get my BAFs. I mean, that's a cheap and easy way to get more figures. And I, like I've said repeatedly on this one, all about more figures. And I don't mind paying $25 if they've got a good figure with good paint, with good accessories, and a Build-A-Figure part. I'm like, okay. But I feel like we've been getting less and paying more. So, but I like a lot of your suggestions. I think we can still do the HasLab, provided they do a little bit more fan outreach before they just go, here you go, and pay everything that we want for them. Stuck says, I wish Hasbro did their Build-A-Figures like McFarlane Toys does. 4 figures to make the BAF. Yes, but they do a really janky way of releasing them where you don't see the full version of the Build-A-Figure until it's done, and they don't release all the figures at the same time. So you've got to be right up on it and grabbing them, over the course of 5 or 6 months, where you can see the figures and they come out, but it's not that same immediate satisfaction of, I bought the whole wave, I got my Build-A-Figure completed. So if they were to change and do that, I'd be fine with it. But yeah, not the piecemeal way that we get from McFarlane now. Isn't the Thunder Tank $100 less on Big Bad Toy Store? Let's see. Do not believe that is the lower price, but there you go. $4.99 for the Thunder Tank right there. So there's a crowd fund that you can get. Let's see what my pals over at Entertainment Earth are charging for it. Now, they have it sold out, but they also have it for $4.99. So I guess $4.99 was that price, Blake. So, but yeah, you can still get the Thunder Tank over on Big Bad Toy Store. Juan says the Big Bad Toy Store and third-party retailer sales don't get added until the very end of the campaign, which seems kind of wild because it's like maybe this will help motivate more people to back it if they thought, oh yeah, this is getting done, I will absolutely back it. Like if say there was already 3,000 backers when you factor in these retailers and resellers, and it was just like a small gap to close, there'd be more people buying them, people would be more incentivized to grab it. I don't know, I think it would help. What's up, Robert? A punk with toys. What's going on? Love that tagline too. I feel like that could apply to so many of us, right? When did Classic Diamond get taken over by Skrull? None of that makes sense. He didn't. It was a cover, and they did it for one of those gazillion variant covers of Secret Invasion. And so it was like, hey, let's do this wacky take on what if all the Avengers were Trolls. It was a cool cover. I definitely liked the whole paranoia that they were doing. I thought that was really fun, but it was like, okay, guys, here you go. I know I could find it relatively quickly because it's not like did a whole bunch of them. I mean, it was a fun variant and definitely cool on that sense, but he was not running around like this in any comic book. So that's what makes the whole deal even worse because like it's a variant and it's based off of a cover. I need to make a whole extra tier for that. Jelly Jam. I feel like 99% of backers would have preferred to re-release Wasp from an old tooling over the heads. Yeah, I would for sure. But though, they should do a poll on the tiers, but you only get a vote if you've already backed. Now that is a really great idea because then you've already put your money where your mouth is. So they could put up the available tiers, the potential tiers. You get to vote, just like they did with the His Tank, where you get to back it, and then you get a say on where they go with the option. I'm with you on that one. Lexington Lions BK, I want Giant Man, but knowing that all the stretch goals won't be met, low key bothers me. I have the HasLab Sky Striker, and knowing that it's missing the ground true tier annoys me. Yeah, that was I was surprised because I felt like it was making a lot of great progress and it seemed like it was gonna go there, but it did not. So kind of messed up there. Jay was so the tiers are baked into the overall cost of the HasLab, and they're never made because the tiers aren't met. Doesn't it decrease the expense to make the HasLab, thus reducing its cost? That's kind of the tricky thing because Hasbro is then making even more of a profit. So it's like, for example, the GI Joe ground crew team. That cost of those figures was associated with the price, and because it didn't make it, Hasbro makes a little bit more of a profit, which is kind of shady. But I guess that gives them more incentive to keep rolling out HasLabs for GI Joe. And as we saw with the Dragonfly, it got met on all corners, and I think it kind of shows where more of the fan focus and attention is with GI Joe, where they're like, "Yo, classified series. Retro line had its day. That's awesome, but we're all about classified series." So I guess they can learn if they focus, but I think we've seen that from the GI Joe classified team. Artomata, Arturo Mata. Sorry about that. One great figure, two fair price, three founder Avenger. Hope it gets done. I really want this. Me too. So is everyone having a problem with the Firefly 2.0 waste? Because I'm reading about that way too much. I'm very concerned about that. Jaja usually gets things right lately, but some of the recent figures are getting cheaper and cheaper in terms of plastic. Oh, that's not good. Daniel says, I feel like a lot of frustration from the fandom comes from not understanding the choices of figures from the Marvel Legends team. I think we as fans expect other fans to understand what we want. And that is so true. I kind of feel like that's where the disconnect is, where it's like, why would you release three Thunderbolts and then have us waiting in limbo for the other ones? It's only four other members. We just need Meteorite, Atlas, Techno, and Jolt. You can complete that team in a box set. You can complete them releasing one in every wave. That would be really easy. And no, we don't want a Moonstone. We've already started. Or no, we don't want a Fixer. We want this version of the character. So they're doing some odd stuff. Thank you so much, Ski Raider. I'm so mad at Marvel Legends fans since Mr. Cheeseburger. I was so excited about the Engine of Vengeance. I'm back too. The Phantom turned on Marvel. They let YouTubers who hate on Marvel change their mind. I really hope people aren't letting YouTubers who are just trashing stuff just to trash stuff. influence them from backing something. Now, if you're seeing somebody with a figure that you want and the figure is falling apart in their hands, consider that a warning. But I mean, all we're doing is just speculating and chatting. I am a action figure collector, and I'm not some influencer. Don't care about that. I'm just sharing my passion and love and interest on this stuff with my fellow collectors. Tuning in on Thursday nights, talking about figures with me. A giant man without a wasp is like having a PB&J without the J. Absolutely. New Monkey says classified articulation is inferior to Marvel Legends. Interesting. That's a different take. And what they've done with the neck articulation for classified makes it impossible to look up. Now I need to check that out because I feel like I have so much fun posting my classified series figures. Lobo Musician, why haven't we got a Beyonder yet? Yes. I mean, we need a box set of Secret Wars. I mean, like 2, because there's so many characters still left to do. Curtain Jerker, great show. Couldn't agree more. Hasbro took away the wrong message from EOV, and their decision to remove figure tears comes off like they're throwing a tantrum and overreacting. I can almost imagine them going, ah! But yeah, I really don't understand their logic on what they took away. Snake Eyes Venom does look amazing. MP says was able to grab starting lineup Curry and Braun at Marshalls. I saw people also finding Lucas, so the hunt continues. Now getting those figures for $5 or $10 is a great deal, and it's kind of disappointing because it's like I'm sure people like those figures, and not that you should expect to get these kind of figures for $10, but maybe 20 would have worked out a lot better. That's awesome. Yeah, that Venom figure is very expensive. Mr. Cheeseburger, no, they actually have pretty solid articulation. I sometimes get a little bit nervous posing my Hot Toys figures, but he can move. He's got some articulation. He's not just sitting there standing and not having any movement whatsoever. Anthony Rogers. I mean, I like Venom and all, but dang, I can't bankroll that one. I'm just on first select at this point. Yes. Blake says, Mr. Cheeseburger, yes, the hatred is swelling in you. Now take your lightsaber to strike down Marvel Legends. Mr. Cheeseburger says, Blake Tarpley, you're wrong. Soon I'll be dead and Marvel Legends with me. G-Brew, I love that Danny Moonstar figure. Wolfsbane never wore that costume. Yeah, they could have done Karma instead, where it would have worked a little bit more. Wait, which one did they did do Karma in there? Magma's the one they should have put in there instead of Rain. Especially since we still need her for X Factor. Giant Man is moving after that Wasp announcement. Hopefully it isn't too late. Let's see where we are now at 10:04. It was 6,492. Let's see if he's gone over 6,494. I was hoping he would hit over 6,500 by the time we wrapped up. All right, let's see here. Oh man, I'm so far behind, rattling on. Ryan Taylor, I'm back. Tell me everything I missed. So much. There's people who are really excited about this HasLab, and there's some who are thinking it's not going to fun. And then there's some people in the middle like, please let it fun. Danny Reeves, I'm in Target and they have the Green Lantern Sinestro, but I really don't want to pay $30. Your thoughts on the platinum figures for McFarlane? So ironic that you mentioned that. Just today, I saw. Here we go. Let's try to focus. Phone and camera. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to get that. So anyway, you can see, I think, the platinum version of Green Lantern Sinestro. I don't like it. I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, the sculpting is there for the Sinestro core figure, and it's just like a weird repaint. Same deal with the Firestorm, and that Hawkman is just infuriating on so many levels because that's not the Hawkman we wanted. So I think the platinum figures, excuse me, like the Green Lantern, are really cool, but we don't see too many like him. So I would love for smarter, better executed variants in this platinum sense, but not the ones we've gotten so far. Olu, not an Avengers fan, but considering back in HasLab to help those who really want it. Olu, thank you. That's awesome. Lawson says the Marvel Legends team may be the nicest guys in the world, but when it comes to selling things, they need to attend a few seminars. Chamberlain, Jeff, what do you think is next? If it funds, what could be next? Tiers? If it doesn't, will there be one next year? How will it pivot? Great question. Um, I, I really think that some of this is going to depend on where. Actually, I think the Fantastic Four movie should be coming out in 2025. I think a really smart, easy HasLab would be the Fantastic Car. So you have your easy sectional pieces that you can make as complicated and sophisticated as you want, but you don't need to make it super expensive. I think that could be an easy $150, $175 HasLab. And because you just need those compartments for the FF and just one wide one for the thing, and everyone else is fine. They can do the thing. Maybe you can do a flame trail for your Johnny Storm. Add a little bonus in there. Maybe a light up one where he lights up. That could be cool. I mean, there's options. I think that's where I'm leaning towards because unlike other vehicles like the Quinjet, like the Blackbird, the Fantastic Car, you can see the figures, so you can display them with it. Your Quinjet is going to take up too much shelf space. Ditto for the Blackbird, and the Blackbird is really this much space where you have the X-Men, and then just plain sections in the back where you can't even do anything with it. So that's where I think they should go, and I don't really think they need to go, what's another giant character we could do? Unless they tried Fing Fang Foom, but unlike Giant Man, I think he's going to require so much more sculpting detail. He's going to be more expensive, and I think we're going to see a lot of backlash. Maybe they could throw a Mandarin figure in there as the tier, but I don't know what they're going to do. I really think they're learning they need to put figures as tiers and not random accessories. Vintage Bob, Hasbro really needs to do a poll and ask fans what they want for HasLabs instead of trying to guess and failing. Sean, I will say this, Marvel Legends fans are by far the toughest fans to satisfy. Certainly feels that way. Pull the trigger on the Giant Man. Green Man. Mono Loco says Mexican Toy Biz Giant Man KO is coming out next week, I think. Build a figure KO was really good. Hope Giant Man KO comes out good too. Now I'm curious to see what that looks like. Mr. Me says they just need to make stuff people want. X-Men Mansion, etc. Not niche characters. Miguel Lopez, I think that this was too late, but I'm all in for Giant Man. Greetings from Mexico. How you doing, Miguel? Hope you're doing awesome out there, my friend. Henry G. I'm doing good, brother. Just got my Studio Series 86 Ultra Magnus. That thing is a beast. Waiting for my buzzer to come in from Big Bad Toy Store. I have the Kingdom Ultra Magnus, so I need to know if this one is a huge improvement over that one. All right, let's see. Jay Wood says first two Marvel Legends HasLab are villains and surpass numbers exponentially. Last two HasLabs have been heroes, struggled. The next HasLab should be Mephisto on a throne with some winged demons. Maybe that would work because I know there's people who actually want it. Ryan, I'm going back to hoping we get a 12-inch laugh. I hope so. I really want him to come through because I love that costume. That's my favorite one of all the Hank outfits, and definitely would love to see that. Miguel says if this project fails, I'm going to make my own custom Giant Man with the Titan Heroes, the Flash. Sean, that 200 right after the Ghost and Dragonfly when those 12-inch Marvel Legend figures were $50 is a stretch for Marvel Legends fans. Yeah, especially when you got those 2-packs for $60. And that Destroyer was really well done. G-Brew, I'd buy the Horsemen. Yeah, I would absolutely too. They're cool figures. Miguel, I think that Marvel Select Apocalypse is just perfect. It looks really cool. Definitely one skewing a little bit more to my favorite take on him in X Factor. Psych68 says, even if they did blow through all the fan favorites, so what? Technology's always improving to the point that no figure is ever truly definitive anymore. That's true, but I feel like I have some figures that they would be way down on my list of, well, I need this one with this kind of articulation, this kinds of accessories, this kind of sculpt. I feel like some of them are as close as I need to. Like, I'm not gonna trip. I could deal with a better version of the Jim Lee, the John Byrne, Dave Cockrum Cyclops without the gap from the Bucky Cap mold. But I think there's definitely some room in there for them to continue working and improving on figures. But there's some that I'm okay if they take their time doing a better version. All right, Daniel says next HasLab, Apocalypse, each tier buck, Horseman with vac metal. Then just re-release the unvac metal figures later. I think they've done a pretty good job of keeping the distinction. So if you don't back the HasLab, you are not getting XYZ figure. I think that's okay. But I like this idea about vac metal Horseman though. Tell me more. They're going to do the X-Men VHS figures without the cell shading in the 97 line, right? I guess they're kind of like that. Kind of, but I really like the Wolverine. I don't know. They didn't do Gambit in the cell shaded animated line, right? Rogue definitely seems different, and don't know about Storm yet. I don't think. Yeah, I think she. I don't know. I didn't get any of the VHS ones except for Cyclops because he looks so cool, and I don't mind the shading with him. But I don't know. Lunatic Reason. What's going on? Raw talk, real deal. Hey, what's up? That Giant Man 24 inches at 250 shipping included could have been a Pulse exclusive. I mean, the Adaptoid is 12 inches is $70 and half the size it don't add up. But that Super Adaptoid is a whack version of the Super Adaptoid. It doesn't have the wings. It's sculpted off of an old existing Captain America figure. It doesn't have any of the cool stuff that it should. It doesn't have the bow and arrow, Hawkeye, the quiver. It's missing the Wasp wings. So it's $70. It's a better deal, but it's missing important, crucial elements to make that figure as good as it could be. Jules, Jeff, what up, my dude? How you feeling about this Wasp reveal? Love it. I'm really happy to get her in the collection. Vin Doom says hit that like button. Thank you. H. Rothgars, I ran out of room to display figures a long time ago. Galactus, His Tank, Dragonfly, 89 Batmobile, Serpensor, Autobot, Arc, and Giant Man are all going to stay in the box until I have a bigger house. That's the right way to go. I'll buy the figures. I'll just get a bigger house later. Oh, Spider Fan, I would love to get an updated Black Bolt figure. I only need him to complete the Illuminati. Yeah, he's one. I absolutely want a better version. I have both the blue and the black one, and I'm still like, he needs a better mold because he should be buffer and bigger than Bucky Cap, over exaggerated, overused mold. We need an Elders of the Universe 2-pack. The Grandmaster and the Collector, I'd be down for those. Chair Bear Man Cave says, I don't think the Legends team can take the loss. They will just back it themselves. They might need some help. Or there goes their holiday bonus. Martin Perez, bottom line, this Giant Man doesn't get funded. Don't blame the ones who aren't backing it. Blame Hasbro because they could have sold this on Pulse for $150 in a slightly smaller size. We'll see. Speaking of Bass, I just need the blade to end to build a mindless one. Lost in, yeah, I wish they just army build them. All About the Villains needs Hasbro to start releasing accessory packs and blast effects packs. That would be great. Phil Martinez, what I don't get that people will pay $200 for Toy Biz Giant Man, but not this. Absolutely. Exactly. Raw talk, real deal. Hey, what's up, Jeff? The Giant Man could have been a Pulse exclusive. I mean, the 12-inch Adaptoid, 69 half the size. No original X-Men 63. No money. Yeah, they should have done some more for the X-Men. I know we got that early in the year deal, but they really should have done a whole lot more. Andy said once, and I don't get a Wired Jedi Classified series, and most Black Series Star Wars figures are worth $25, and everything else is not. I don't know if I'd say the Black Series figures are worth $25. They typically don't have a ton of accessories to justify it. There's some articulation issues with some figures, but Classified series because Hasbro owns G.I. Joe and whatever licensing fees they have to pay to Disney for Star Wars, for Marvel Legends, that's where they have to cut those corners. So I think that's the issue there. Lomo Musician, Thunder Tank is $4.38 on Amazon. That's much better. Oh, they had a one-day sale for $3.99 this week. That's even better. JL, the retro card figures I could do without. They don't come with much accessories and no baths. They are a ripoff. Yeah, I need the Build-A-Figure parts from our retro figures. Renegade Biker 24. Hey there, Jeff and chat. What's going on? Lawson, very disappointed with the gold label classic Hawkman that McFarlane offered. Not the Carter Hall version, but a repainted modern version in the colors with incorrect costume bits. Yeah, it was just a bad idea all around. Let's see. Where is he now? Did he hit 6,500? He's still at 64,094. So we're not rolling any faster, sadly. Hopefully we'll get there. Finish Bob. They should put out a general vote for what to do for the next HasLab, then have backers vote on tiers. I'd be down on that one too. Snake Eyes, I will, but I have so many games, so it's going to be a while before I play Spider-Man 2. I'm hearing really good things about it, though. Henry G, I always say it as if the HasLab reached the higher tiers, more units sold, cover the cost of tooling for figures that are unlocked. Thus, if they don't reach those tiers, they don't make that extra money. Yeah, that's what's going on. Ronan X33, man, if Giant Man is not fun, what's left for the Marvel team? It has to be demoralizing for the team. They're only human. Good. So you got a good Firefly. That is awesome. I'm glad to hear that because I was getting worried that people were getting some bad ones. Heath, Falcon Wrath. Hope I said your last name properly. I'm planning on kit bashing the Giant Man from the 12-inch Spider-Man figure. Which one? And does that have the sculpted webbing? Curious to see how that works. Sean Maurice, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. The problem, Marvel Legends, is that Pompous Dan and the team need to stay off eBay, etc., to get their price points. I hope that's not what they're doing. Kindred, 1998. I went to Ollie's and found Destiny's Ran at Ollie's for only $5 each. I got them for a good deal. That's a very good deal. Cheap Brew, update the classic Cyclops. Put it in 2-pack. With Marvel Girl updated. Yeah, not the repainted version for sure. Ryan, next Marvel Legends HasLab should be a 6-inch Marvel Legends made of unstable molecules that can actually stretch in any length or shape. And it's not going to get back. Wasp looks good. No matter what, that's something to look forward to. He wants to know why they do such a high backer number. I don't know on that one. That's a great question. I feel like some of these other ones have not been as big, but let me just check here real fast. How many did they need for this Sentinel and how many did they need for Galactus? And let's see if it's in here. Okay, cool. He is here as well. So the Sentinel needed 6,000 and the Sentinel got 21,873 backers. So if this was back in 2021, no, I guess this is 2020 because it shipped in 2021, we would definitely have Giant Man right now. Then Galactus took a real big jump from 6,000. He needed 14,000, got 30,811. So a lot of people backed him. And then they took it back down for the Engine of Vengeance. It only needed 9,000, which is also interesting because that didn't fund. So now we need another 1,000 to get Giant Man back. And the Engine of Vengeance had 5,060 backers. So really interesting to see how this is playing out. All right, so let's see here. Great. Thank you. The $50 Spider-Man Class 1. Cool. Okay. I think I'm caught up. Great. Okay, so let's see here. Jelly Jam, I feel like another army builder would do better sitting on an army 6-inch figure. Yeah, that would work too, I think. Let me see here real fast. I know I was going to talk about the Masters of the Universe, but it's later than I thought. So let's wind this down now. Okay, let's see here. So 10/27, a very special day. Yeah, I'm sure I've made it no secret that's my birthday. And Hasbro is doing the great honor of having another Pulse Premium 10/27. Love it. So we're gonna have that event next Friday. And though it's my birthday, I'm absolutely gonna be on here talking about whatever Hasbro is going to reveal and show off. Maybe we'll see the Vamp. I can't wait to see what they do. Maybe more stuff. I feel like the time is a little bit off because this is a great opportunity, great showcase to show more tiers or more figure options for the Marvel Legends HasLab Giant Man. So time is a little bit off. They won't be able to do that, but hopefully it'll fun and they can go, now that you've got your Giant Man, here's some more characters that you're going to see coming real soon. So of course, I'll be back on Friday to talk about that, but I'm going to be on Thursday where hopefully we can break down everything, the lessons learned from the HasLab, the good or bad. And then we talk about what we want to see on October 27th, 10/27 for Pulse. You guys are awesome. We have so many people still here hanging out, doing a thing. And we'll be back here soon. And thank you so much for tuning in, sticking with me for over 2 hours. This is really fun. Cannot wait to do it again next week. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This episode allows Figure Files has been filed.